Hi guys, how are you today? My name is Kara Thusen and this is Paranormal, where I combine my love of simple snacks and ghost attacks. So, if you like to hear unexplainable and or scary stories, then you're in the right place. You do not want to miss today's stories. Have you heard of doppelgangers? I'm not talking about your celebrity lookalike, but just for fun, I did go to starbyface.com, I think it's called, and I uploaded 2 photos of me to see what my results would be. Full disclosure, one of them had a filter on it, but yeah, take a look. Uncanny, right? Looks exactly like me, like I couldn't even tell a difference. Anyways, I'm not talking about your celebrity lookalike. I'm talking about a more sinister doppelganger. Okay, maybe not sinister, but more of a ghostly paranormal doppelganger. One that can look exactly like you or a loved one. It's said that if you see your own doppelganger, it's a curse, it's an omen, it's bad luck. The German word Doppelgänger says literally meaning double walker. It goes on to say, a doppelganger is often portrayed as a ghostly or paranormal phenomenon and usually seen as a harbinger of bad luck. I'd like to pause for a second to remind you that 58% of you who watch my videos are not subscribed. What's your problem? What's the deal? Come on, man. Anyways, if the word subscribe is in red, I politely ask you to click it, and while you're at it, go ahead and click the like button. What can that hurt? And if you don't do this, then I'm afraid you're going to have a harbinger of bad luck. But seriously, it really does help me out, and yeah, I appreciate it. I love you. Today I have 2 unexplainable and eerie doppelganger stories, with the last one leaving you speechless. I do have one of my own that I will share, but before we get to that, let me tell you what I'm making today. Today I am making Muddy Buddies. Yay! Get it? Buddies, doppelganger, 2 buddies. Yeah? No? Yeah, it's a stretch. But here's what you will need. Welcome back. So, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. I never knew what a doppelganger was growing up. I am embarrassed to admit how old I was when I did find out. But, just a little bit of background. I grew up in Southern California with my parents, 4 brothers, and sister. And we lived, up until I was in the 8th grade, we lived in this duplex townhome type place. And we were bound to share a room with somebody because there's so many kids. So I shared a room with my sister. In our room, we had this trundle bed. So it's like a day bed, and then underneath the day bed is a bed that you pull out and you can raise it up. My sister slept on the top day bed part, and I slept on the trundle bed underneath. So I would pull it out, but I never raised it up. I always kept it at floor level. Well, almost every night, I would feel as though somebody was sitting on my bed. Like I can feel the weight next to my body, sitting next to me. And when I would look, there was no one there. There were other times when my bed would jolt. It was as though somebody took it and just shook it. And this would freak me out, so I would migrate to my parents' room and sleep on their bedroom floor. If one of my other siblings wasn't already there, for some reason we all migrated to my parents' bedroom floor at night. But when I told my family about my bed and how I felt like somebody was sitting on it and I felt like somebody was shaking it, I told them my bed is haunted. And of course, nobody believed me and they laughed at me. So I started to second guess myself, and I thought, okay, well, I live in California. We do have earthquakes, but that often? And am I the only one feeling it? And I just couldn't explain the feeling of having somebody sit on my bed. So that's not the point. The thing that all my siblings experienced and we joked about was that my mom would one minute be walking up the stairs, and within a second she's walking in from the backyard, and we would ask her, like, how did you get from upstairs to the backyard? We were always so confused because she would magically just appear in places, and she just thought we were crazy and maybe a little obtuse that we weren't paying attention to her. But it was strange because when we asked her about it, she had no idea what we were talking about, but we all joked about it. And we even said, you have secret tunnels in the house. That's how you show up in different spots of the house so quickly. So after hearing today's stories, the ones that were submitted, it got me thinking. It reminded me of that because I hadn't thought about that since I was a kid. And it got me thinking, did my mom have a doppelganger? I don't know. Could her doppelganger have been the person sitting on my bed, shaking my bed? I don't know. What do you think? Okay, you definitely want to stay tuned for today's stories. Could today's stories be a doppelganger experience or perhaps a glitch in the matrix? You be the judge. But first, here's how you make Muddy Buddies. Okay, let your Chex just chill in a bowl for a while. Put your butter, chocolate chips, and peanut butter over some medium heat. Stir until it's completely melted. Oh, would you look at that? It is melted. Now you're going to want to put your teaspoon of vanilla in and stir. Incorporate that. Once that's incorporated, turn off the heat and pour this over your Chex and gently stir. All right, you're going to want to gently stir the chocolate in with your Chex mix. I said Chex mix. Yeah, it's either rice or corn Chex, not Chex mix. Anyway, yeah, it's gonna look like this, pretty covered with chocolate peanut butter. And then you're gonna want to transfer this into 2 ziplock gallon sized bags and pour the powdered sugar, half in 1 gallon bag and half in the other. Pour the powdered sugar and mix it up, which I will show you here. Okay, this is a messy job. I have half of the Chex in here and half of the powdered sugar. Do not forget to seal the top, and they're gonna shake it all together so it's all incorporated, and it'll look like this. Okay, opened up the bag, and here is how it should look. And you'll see the final results in a little bit. Bye. Back to you, Kara. Thank you, Kara. All right, let's get into it. Story number 1 was submitted on Reddit, and she wishes to remain anonymous, so let's call her Susan. Susan was with a friend, and she was on her way home from getting coffee at 10 in the morning. She texts her boyfriend that she's on her way home, and he texts back, "Sorry, I just left." And as she rounds the corner onto her empty block, she sees him down the street. So she texts him to wait. And he looks up and he blows kisses at her and he waves. So he's just out of earshot, so she decides to call him. She looks down at her phone, looks back up, and he's gone. But luckily he did answer the phone. And she said, "Where are you going?" And he said, "What do you mean? I'm in the backyard." And she said, "No, you just texted me that you had left and I just saw you down the street." And he said, "No, I didn't text you that, and I wasn't down the street. I'm in the backyard getting my bike." At this point, he thinks she's joking, and she's not. She's starting to panic. And she said, "Well, are you wearing your green shirt and blue pants?" And he said, "Yeah, I am." And at this point, she ends up in front of her apartment. So as he walks from the backyard to where she's at, he's dressed exactly like the person that she had just encountered. So who was this person that she encountered? She checked his phone to see if he had those same texts, and he did. He couldn't explain it. Who was texting her? Was this a doppelganger trying to lure her in? Or could this be a glitch in the matrix? I don't know. What do you think? Comment down below. She did go on to say that it would have been an elaborate trick to play and quite impossible because she would have seen him walk from down the street to where she was at. So I looked at the comments on Reddit, and a lot of people said it was a glitch in the matrix, but most people said that he had a doppelganger. What are your thoughts? I'd love to know. Story number 2 submitter would also like to remain anonymous, so we'll call her Jane. Yeah, I'm real original with the names here. Jane grew up in a home with numerous amounts of paranormal activity experienced by all who lived there, but I will address these experiences on another time. But for today, this is Jane's story. Jane was spending the night at her best friend's house, where she had spent the night on multiple occasions. While Jane was away back home, Jane's older sister was at the top of the stairs and saw Jane at the bottom of the stairs in the hallway. It looked as though Jane was putting on lotion or washing her hands, and she was also wearing her grandma's vintage nightgown, which she had worn quite a bit. Jane's older sister looked at her and told her to go empty the dishwasher, but Jane didn't listen and kept walking, so this time she yelled it. And Jane still kept walking until she disappeared around the corner. So at this point, Jane's older sister is fuming, and she rushes down the stairs to bust into Jane's room, ready to give her a piece of her mind. When she opens the door, Jane's other sister is in there, and Jane's not. So she's confused and she says, well, where's Jane? Jane's sister informed her that Jane had spent the night at her friend's house last night. Her older sister is dumbfounded. She swears, no, I just saw her. So they call Jane's friend's house, and sure enough, Jane's there. So at this point, they're freaking out and they're beside themselves, so they demand that she come home right away. When Jane arrives home, everyone's in a panic, and they ask her, where's that nightgown you used to wear? Jane, a little confused, said, I haven't worn it since I was 8, but it will be in the closet in the back room. So they go and they check, and sure enough, it's there. But here's the kicker. It's covered in dried blood. What? I would have freaked the cuss word out for sure. Yeah, how do you explain that? Her sister swore she saw her. She chased her. She yelled at her. And she saw her clear enough to run down the stairs and chase her. So, could this have been Jane's doppelganger? What do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts. So, before I sign off, here is the finished product. Delicious. Duh. Give it a try. And if you have stuck around this long, you are a real one. And I would love if you left 2 ghost emojis in the comments so I know who you are. Also, I'd like to thank today's submitters. And if you have a story that you would like to submit, please DM me, email me, telegraph me, whatever. All my information is in the description box below. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. And thank you for those who have subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you did. Anyways, until next time, bye. Have a good week.